Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Platinum Prime for Life podcast. I'm Linda Ferguson.
And I'm Karen Nelson Bell. And there's a third person.
And I'm your guest, Jeanne Corcoran, also known as the Story Genie.
All right. And
would you like
we have a treat for you, which is the famous Story Genie jingle, which I just learned.
Are we ready?
Take it away, ladies.
Take it away, Jeannie.
Story Genie, sticky picky wickle bun.
Story Genie, kitty paddle paw.
Story Genie, winky winkle diddle dun.
Story Genie.
Hee hoo ha. I'm sorry, we didn't have a rehearsal really, and poor Linda, we sprung it on her, but that's
for me. Yeah.
Well, let me introduce you, Linda, and everybody else to one of my favorite creatives. She's a Renaissance woman, and I think she's a beautiful example of living her prime life, even though she is she admits to being a senior. That's all we can get out of her. I asked her because I know she's younger than I am. Everybody's younger.
Not by much.
Well, everybody's younger than I am anyway. So, but she's absolutely living her prime life, and she's been through some challenges, which made it not so easy to live a prime life. And I think that's what's the story of today is being prime anyway. Yes, you're going to be platinum. You may use hair dye, but you're going to be platinum one of these days.
What's that a comment about my hair color?
I'm only commenting about mine. Oh, blondes do have more fun, don't they, ladies?
It's true. Blondes have way more fun.
Obviously.
Actually, I'm reminded that Jeannie and I invented something called the Wave Genie, and it's a thing made out of fabric that she invented, and it makes your hair just so filled with volume and so filled with waves, and we just didn't know how to get it off the ground.
Yeah, we didn't have a way to manufacture it and profit from the manufacturing unless we sent it to Dominican Republic, I think was the last place we looked at. And it was just a little too convoluted to try and get them made. And we knew that once it went out of our hands to the Dominican Republic or wherever it went, it would be ripped off by 1,000 cheap 99 centers. And what was the point?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So when I first met Jeannie, she was the director of the Nevada Film Commission. Then she got hired away and she became the director of the Sarasota Film Commission. And then at a certain point came a hardship that she wasn't expecting. What can you tell us a little bit about how you recuperated from a surprise?
Sure, I will tell you. COVID came in winter/spring of 2020, and they sent us home to work. And I was the Sarasota County Film Commissioner, the director of the office. And I was working from home about 3 weeks, good 3 weeks, and still working away and doing a lot of stuff. And I get a phone call Friday afternoon after 3 weeks at home. And they said, "Hey, we're so sorry, but you know what? We're going to have to shut down the offices and lay you off. Bye." Well, it wasn't quite that abrupt, but that was the message, and that was 4:15. And they said, "Oh, and at 4:30, your computer will go dead." So that was my parting from the Sarasota County Film Entertainment Office. Well, I understood it. And, I realized that COVID wasn't anything we could do anything about other than survive it and make our own choices about it. But the office was struggling financially anyway. And my salary was large. So when I said to them, "Well, you're going to lay me off, when are you going to bring me back?" And they said very nicely, "Never. Your salary is a little too big." So fast forward 3.5 years or 4 years, whatever it was that COVID kicked our butts. And they tried to have a little film commission division open up in their economic development office. And my former assistant went in and she was going to be the film commissioner. And I think it lasted a few weeks, but it doesn't exist now. So that's sad. But the way I got through it after being noble on the phone and very brave and saying I understood it in economics and so forth, I went and laid on the bed, and I had a cat at the time named Puddin'. And she had been feral, but she was now getting domesticated. She came and curled up under my arm on the bed and cuddled up to me like she knew something had changed. And I started crying. I just cried and just laid there on the bed with the cat. And Dan he was off somewhere and he didn't even know yet. And I just laid there with the cat and cried. And then I said, you know what? Every door, it's corny and it's cliched, but every time one door closes, another door opens. And in my case, it was a great big window that opened, and I jumped through it, and I've been having a great time ever since. So there you go.
We met, Jeannie and I met because she was, in addition to being with the Film Commission, she worked for a company that produced TV commercials and this and that. And when I became a TV producer by just deciding that we were going to have the country show that I produced for the stage in Las Vegas, I decided, let's put it on CBS. How do you do that? Well, I didn't know much about it, but I was determined, and I ended up having the acquaintance of Jeannie because she was the what do you call it, the line producer?
I was the assigned producer for you. I was your line producer, and I was also your writing consultant and your all-purpose girl. So
She was everything, and she taught me how to make a TV show, and we made a TV show, and we got an Emma, which is a statewide Emmy. An Emmy for a TV show, right? For best TV show in Nevada. We were on CBS for a season. It was a very expensive show to produce because we sang a lot of songs that were popular at the time, and you always have to license the songs, and that costs a lot of money.
Somebody's getting residuals, we hope.
Yeah, we didn't last more than one season, but that one season got us an Emmy, so that was kind of nice. That's the first thing. But then Jeannie invited me over to dinner to get more acquainted, just because we thought, we're both creatives, and she helped me make this wonderful show that got an Emmy. And she had me over for dinner, and she showed me a book that she had written called Tales from the Story Genie. Now, if you ask Jeannie a question, she can answer you with stories.
Yeah, there was.
She wants me to hush up so that she can answer.
No, I want to give you credit. I want to give you credit for something.
Well,
that maybe we have never, with the whole Story Genie thing. When we first met, I had showed you a bunch of poems that I had, just poems. And you read them and said, wow, these are kind of Dr. Seuss-like. Have you ever thought about setting them to music? And I said, no, but that's a really great, great, great idea. And we talked about it, and you said you took a few and you took them home and you were going to play with them. In the meantime, a mutual friend of ours had us come over, Ernie and whatever her name was, the lady that was such a good cook. She had us come over, and we girls sat with our feet up, and we were talking and being creative. And I told her, I want to brand this as me as the genie, as a genie, because I tell stories. I'm a genie who tells stories. And I think I want to call it, Story Genie. And she said, get it branded, get it trademarked, do whatever. And you said, no, I said, I'm a genie that tells story. And you said, well, then you're the story genie. You actually put the two words together because that's what you do. And you brought me together with the lady, whoever she was. And between you and her, what went is a bunch of loose poems that I had in a book that was, it was a 4-inch D-ring binder. Okay.
And you know why it's relevant to what Linda and I talk about every time we do a podcast is because both of us were technically seniors. I was over 50. That's for sure. I don't know if you were over 50 or not. I was probably
I was like 40.
You
43.
You were over 40. So
I was over 40.
It was like a sign to both of us that we didn't have to stop living just because we were getting into our senior years. And that was very impressive for both of us. So she made the book, the Tales from the Story Genie, and then Jeannie just decided that we would make a TV show out of it. Yeah. So she and her hubby created all the resources so that we could do that, and that's where the song came from. We had how many children?
9? I think we had 12 children under the age of 12. 12 under 12 was our magic number. Yeah. And the littlest one was 4.5 when we started.
Yeah.
And our oldest one was 12. 12 was the top
So
age.
that's where the song Story Genie came from. Jeannie had written a bunch of poems for story. It was called Story Genie, but it didn't have the central chorus. There was nothing that was central to it. So I wrote it, and the lyrics are very philosophic. Story Genie Sticky Picky, Wiggle Bun, Story Genie, Kitty Paddle
Paddle
Paw,
Paw, yes.
Story Genie,
Winky,
Winky
Wiggle,
Wiggle, Diggy Dun,
Diggy Dun.
Story Hee Hoo Ha. Now, the kids had to learn it,
Hee-hoo-ha.
and they learned it easy peasy.
Yeah.
But their parents heard them practicing it all the time. So this
Yeah.
song became the nemesis. It was like Baby Shark, or
Right.
like what does the wolf? What is that one?
Yeah.
What does the wolf say?
What does the fox say? La 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 la, ding ding
And
ding
it
ding.
was
Yep.
Story Genie, Winky Wiggle Diggy Dun all day long, and it was so much fun. So I think that Story Genie, which by the way aired in 27 foreign countries, still airs in a few now. We
Yeah.
still tiny little residuals from it. It was on PBS. It was a very, very successful show, and I think it gave both of us a kind of youthfulness, because when you're around kids, and I'm not a grandparent, Jeannie is a parent and a grandparent, and it gave me a different viewpoint of life, and it was just wonderful to have that youthful element around us. And you're a grandparent. You both are two ladies. I would say that being a grandparent doesn't make you older. I think being a grandparent makes you younger. Linda, what do you say to that?
I say you are correct.
Yes.
I'm about to make a trip as a first-time grandparent to see my grandson in Las Vegas.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So yes, you definitely cannot be older when you have these young, vigorous, rambunctious little kids running around and you want to participate. It's definitely something that is inspirational.
Right. Well, when I put my makeup on today to do your podcast, because I don't wear makeup around the house, and our grandson lives with us, and I went over to his bedroom and talked to his door, and he was working at his computer, and I went, okay, I have to be on a podcast, so I need your true evaluation of how do I look, how's the makeup, how's the hair, is it okay, am I going to look okay? And he said, oh, you look awesome, you look like Story Genie.
Oh my gosh. We've done since then, Jeannie just keeps going. She's like an Energizer bunny. And in our industry, in the show business industry, it has been standard not to tell your age, but I see that changing, because with research tools that people have, you can find out people's ages. And I don't see the actresses being so hidden about their ages. But in our day, when we were doing it, it was hard to get work if you were perceived as being too old to get the job done. And if there was a certain kind of ageism. And now today, I just got hired. I'm back into the entertainment business. I'm hiring myself out to play piano and to sing. And I just got hired last week to do a television commercial. And they needed an old lady to play piano and sing. I'm an old lady, so I play piano and sing. And then today I got hired to play at a memorial service. And what I'm familiar with memorial services because I've had so many of my friends. When you're 80, I'll be 81 next month. You sort of start to weed out some of your loved ones. It just happens. But Jeannie has kept us going. We did. How many have we done? We did the gin joint.
We did the gin joint. We did the gin joint. We did Schlurple Purple, which is another one.
Slurping it up.
Schlurple Purple out of the cup.
Slurping it down. Schlurple Purple,
no need to frown. Schlurple Purple, slurping it in. Schlurple Purple.
And so when you're involved in silliness, here's another thing.
It never ends. No.
I think is relevant, Linda, is that silliness keeps you young. I
think so.
Like being silly is a good thing. What say you?
There's a term I just learned today. I had never heard it before, called Generation Jones. So Generation Jones are people born between 1954 and 1965. And so it's like in the middle of a baby boomer, because baby boomers, because it covers quite a long period of time, there are segments, right? At the beginning, you like a certain kind of music, middle, usually different and different. But Anyway, Generation Jones, I'd never heard it before. Someone was talking about relationships when you are older. And I thought, okay.
I just happened to think of the song what we will probably all remember. And then along came Jones. Wasn't it Jones?
Mary.
Sweet talking Jones, slow walking Jones.
Oh,
Yeah. I remember
I
that
don't
song.
remember that song. I remember it almost. I almost remember it.
I don't
But
remember it at all.
Anyway, Dan, my husband remembers it. He
Generation
sings
Jones,
it sometimes.
Chunk of Time. And then I looked at, so Forbes had an article on it and it said baby boomers. It used to be that you never talked about your age when you were older, but baby boomers are proud about how accomplished they are for their age and how young they still are for their age. And I'm finding that to be more and more true. Like
They say
you
in Sarasota, they say that, like I remember someone told me in Sarasota, 50 is the new 35.
That's
And
right.
70 is the new 55. So there you have it. I don't know what 60 is. I guess it's the new 40.
What do you say now? You have a lot of challenges in life. You have in your family there is some poor health, and you've had to be a caregiver, which is very, very taxing on any person who is a caregiver for any family member. It's challenging, but you've kept your enthusiasm, you've kept your vigor, you've kept your looks. Look how beautiful! I mean, you look like a teenager. Give Linda and me and the rest of our listeners, give us the benefit of some of your wisdom from the viewpoint of the life that you've led. What can you say that will help us be more like you?
Well, that's very kind. I thank you for the kind words. I'll start it briefly by saying that I got married as a teenager, and when my husband and I got married, he was in his mid-20s. He had been in the service, and we were correspondents, pen pals. Anyway, when we got married, we sat down and we talked through how we felt about being married, and we both came from divorced families, divorced parents. And I said, well, I think we should never stay angry at each other. If we get angry about something, that's normal, that's human. Walk away. We'll just walk away and cool off, and we'll never say something in anger that we can't take back, because that happens a lot. People get angry and they say something hateful at the moment that they really don't mean, but it comes out. So I said, we'll never say hateful things to each other. There's a whole world of people out there more than happy to hate us. Let's love each other and let's be kind to each other. And even when we're mad at each other, let's still be kind to each other. So kindness was, the foundation of us getting a really good start, I think. And then the other thing was we decided jointly that whether we had children, whether we had siblings, whether our parents were part of our lives, if your marriage works, or your relationship, doesn't have to be marriage, but whatever your relationship is, if it's going to work, you're going to end up exactly the way you started, which means the two of you. Your parents are going to grow old and pass away, and your kids are going to grow up and get married. Your friends are going to have other friends. They're going to marry, they're going to have kids, they're going to have grandkids. Everybody's going to go about life pursuing their own life. So you'll end up just the two of you, the same way you started out. So again, rely on each other, be kind to each other, love each other. And when you're mad at each other, don't say hateful things, walk away and cool off. So that's, the big philosophy of why our marriage has lasted so long. And I still call my husband my sweetheart, and he still kills me his brown-eyed girl. So that sounds corny, I know. And people are going, yeah, oh, sure. I really believe that. No, it's really true. And, you can guess my age, but we've been married 50 years. So I think it's worked out pretty well. The other thing about youthfulness is happiness in general, and a upbeat, positive personality. Optimism has always been my sidekick, and my childhood was very, very difficult. I won't go into details, but it was a bad childhood, and one of those things where
you have to write a story.
Yeah, I'm going to write a story and title it after my mother.
Yeah, she has definitely got the wildest young days tales to tell. So promise that you will put this to a book.
I will. And the only thing I'll tell you about it is the title will be based on my mother, she was a character. Anyway, and the title will be based on her, and the title will be a true event that happened when I was very young in our lives, called Naked in Mink. And it's pretty wild. Anyway,
I thought you were going to call it Roadkill for Dinner.
Yeah, roadkill for dinner. Well, that was sometimes the case too. But she helped form me, and she used to always say, for the just out of the blue, she would say, you know, sometimes I don't like you very much. I never really plan on having kids, and you're the only one I got. But I always love you, no matter what. I always
Oh, that's very sweet.
So-
So we've kind of clarified that hate makes you get older.
age.
It
Yes.
makes you age. Hate,
Here's your wrinkles.
anger. Hate and anger are okay. So we're going to prescribe no hate, no anger,
No.
and
No.
kindness is a good quality to possess.
Right.
In order, what I think this is pretty true, Linda. We've talked about these items before.
Of course.
I think Jeannie has brought us something really special today. Her brand of enthusiasm and her positivity. Just I don't know. Have I forgotten to ask her something? What do you think I should? What do you want to know from Jeannie? I kind of know what.
Well, I wouldn't mind hearing you guys sing another song. I was thoroughly entertained by that.
I wish we could remember all the lyrics to Purple Purple while we're just standing here. Karen and I have 19 songs that have not been yet set to music. She wrote some little jingles one time, and she was recording them on her piano with her phone, and I've got them in my computer. I might have been like 21 of them, actually, but we used two. We used Slurple Purple, and we used Imagination. Both of those I have put down with the children's book.
But my favorite one is a song that we should do and send it to Linda, and that is "You Are You," and it was sung by
yeah, that was a great one.
The little fairy. By the way, that's my Story Genie T-shirt. Jeannie is wearing her Story.
I'm wearing mine. See, Story Genie.
And the little girl.
Look how shiny and new it looks. I hardly wear it.
Yeah. The little girl was the pixie, and my late husband, because he was 6'6", he put on big, tall cowboy boots, and then he had a huge hat, and he was Duncan the Giant. So "You Are You" was sung between the pixie and the giant, and it was a really sweet song that I think applies today because people are having quite the reawakening of an awareness that you are unique and you are allowed to present the real you, and that you should. And so the song "You Are You," we should probably revitalize that and re-record it so that it isn't sung by a little 4-year-old and
a giant. Yeah. Well, they also had a very cute song. That was very heartfelt song, and all the kids asked permission to use "You Are You" as their audition song for other work.
That's
and it basically was, in all the world of a zillion faces, there are people young and old, all kinds of folks, all kinds of races, some shy, perhaps, or bold. But there's something you must know. It's important that you do. In all the world, from here to there, there's only one like you. And that was the basic premise of the whole song. You know? But they did a song called "You Are."
Formed it for you.
Yes, well, it's a long song with like 4 stanzas, but the pixie and the giant also did "You Are So Very Tall, and You Are So Very Small. But as to the parts of our minds and hearts, makes no difference at all. You are a little pixie, and you are a great big guy. But that's all the same. It's just a name. We share this world, you and I. It should come as no surprise that we should never judge by size. Just remember to recall that what's inside counts most of all. Not whether you are tall, whether you are short or tall. Never judge by size. And that will make you very, very, very size-wise. Size-wise. Yes, that was size-wise.
Oh,
So
Jeannie,
Karen did all the music, and I did all the lyrics, and we had so much fun.
We still do. We still get together and write. She helped me finish up a book that I was doing on bedtime stories. She wrote a wonderful bedtime story just for the book. I love this gal so much, but I think she's a primary brilliant example and role model for people who, if you have any thoughts at all that what you want to do, what you want to dream, that it's too late, Jeannie is here to tell you that's not so. So Linda, why don't you wrap us up, Linda?
Yeah. All right, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Platinum Prime for Life. And thank you so much, Jeannie, for being our guest. I learned a lot. So
it gets a little silly, but that's okay.
All right. So with that, goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful week. And we'll see you next time on Platinum Prime for Life.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.